Coca-Cola Company, Keurig Dr. Pepper, and PepsiCo are bringing consumers more choices with less sugar than ever before. From sparkling, flavored, and bottled waters to zero-sugar sports drinks, teas, and sodas, consumers are taking advantage of these choices. In fact, nearly 60% of beverages sold contain zero sugar. To learn more, visit balanceus.org.
Welcome to the Awakening Women podcast. I'm your host, Leanne Oaten, and former therapist with a background in counseling psychology. This podcast is for strong, high-achieving women who want more in their lives and relationships, who are ready to rise to the next level of growth, healing, and evolution. Nothing changes until you change. And when you change, everything else changes around you as a result. If you're done with feeling powerless within the chaotic and toxic dynamics in your relationship and don't even know where to begin with making changes, I've got you covered. I know you've tried everything, including counseling, watching hours of videos, and reading stacks of books on narcissism, and find that all it does is leave you feeling even more stuck and in the same place. None of these things work when you're living with a narcissistic spouse because the root causes of the symptoms are not being addressed. As with physical health, there is an emotional, physical, spiritual, and psychological component to healing and overcoming the problematic symptoms and pain you're facing every day in your life and relationship. If you're ready for a direct, no fluff, no nonsense approach to take you into your personal power and take back your life, you are in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode. This is going to be a quick episode. It's a question that I get often in one way or another, whether it's directly a question if I'm asking for questions with open Q&A in one of our communities. And it's also a theme that I've seen over and over and over again as I've worked with women who are exiting or planning their exit, actively leaving their relationship. And sometimes this can't happen right away or on the timeline that you might want it to happen. And so you're having to either act along as if everything's fine or, not share anything of your plan, or maybe you have shared your desire to divorce or separate, but he is not quote unquote believing you. And so when this happens, some of the things that will happen is they will try to turn on a sudden change in behavior, try to be extra over the top, trying to meet your needs and going over the top with things. And they may even be manipulating you in such a way to frame it that, hey, if you leave, that is on you because I'm willing to do the work. I am trying. I want us to save this marriage. I want our relationship to work. You're the one that doesn't. You're the one that's not giving me a chance. When a woman has reached this point, it is after oftentimes decades of trying to instigate change, which is our first mistake, ladies. We have to see and own our own part in this, that we took a man on as a project from day one. We allowed the patterns to continue. We tried to change toxic, abusive behavior and make someone who is unhealthy into a healthy person. We were trying to mold and shape a grown man into the type of partner that we want, that won't harm us, abuse us, abandon us, manipulate us, lie to us, gaslight us, all of that. That is our first error that really sets this whole stage. And so we have to own that part. However, once women get to this place of there's no turning back, I need to get out, they will often see this 180 with their partner, and it can be really over the top and really a lot, like too much almost. And so they do this as a way to continue to manipulate, to look like the good guy, to frame you as the person that doesn't care, the person that abandoned the family, the selfish one. And so the question comes about is, how do I make him see that I mean it this time? How do I tell him that this time there's no more chances and I'm done and I want out? And so the way that you do this is the same way, the way that you don't do this. Let me just say this. How many times in your relationship have you tried to instigate change with words? How many times have you tried to set a boundary with words? How did that work for you? With these types, words don't matter. What you say does not matter. You've learned this, right? And so when I'm talking about boundaries, spoken boundaries, communicating boundaries with words with these types of unhealthy men, whether they're narcissists or they have the traits of one, they are boundary bullies. They don't care. They don't care about your needs. They don't care about your feelings or what you want or how they're hurting you. Words don't impact them. It does not relate to change. So when we apply this premise to, why doesn't he understand that this time I'm done? I keep telling him I'm done. You're doing more of the same. So the only way, you ready for this? You want to know the answer to how to get them to know for sure that you're done this time? It's when you actually walk out the door and stop contacting them. If you have kids, if you have other things you need to figure out, you learn the modified contact to deal with them so that you're not continuing to be roped into the relationship, back into the relationship, getting, hooked into the fuckery and the nonsense and the hooks that they will try to use to get you back into the fold. So the only way to actually show them that you're serious is sticking to your boundary of I'm done. And you keep moving forward and you keep doing what you need to do. You keep executing your plan to get out and you actually do it. You stop talking about it, right? This is like boundaries 101. If you set the boundary once, twice, thrice, then the words are not working and it's got to be action. Something you are doing that is an action, because words don't matter to these types of people. You'll notice, right? How many times have you set a boundary or said, hey, I can't, this is not acceptable. I can't do this anymore. I don't like this behavior. This has got to stop. And it keeps going for years and years and decades. And it's harmful behavior, right? It's not like you keep leaving your socks on the floor and it's an annoyance. It's harmful behavior and it's neglect and manipulation. And so if you see that this person obviously has a track record for not changing anything when you have communicated it to them, then the same applies when you're trying to get them to see now, I'm done. And instead of them saying, oh, okay, oh shit, this is not what I want. I want to work on this. Can you give me time to work on this? I'll give you space. I won't pressure you for sex. I won't put myself upon you and try to force affection and force us to continue to try and fake this relationship. Because a lot of times women are in a place where they're like, I just need space from you. And this is what I help you figure out if you're in this place in my Take Space course. I'll put the link in the show notes here, but it is all like, if you're in a place where like, I just need space from you, this is the course for you. So actually, just a little side note, what I've done is I've taken my signature program that I've been running for the last 6 years and the cycle, and I am breaking it all up into smaller, lower price point courses that you can take based on what you want and what you want to learn. And so one of those is the Take Space course, and it's the first section in my program that I teach women to shift the entire dynamic. All right, so this is what you would do if you know you're done, but maybe you aren't able to leave right away. Maybe you can't just pick up and go. Or maybe there's still a little bit of self-doubt in there. This is where you need to be. It's called Take Space. And again, I'll put it in the show notes. And so a healthier man, right, would be like, I don't want this. What do you need from me? I'm going to go work on my stuff because I see that you're serious and I have really fucked up. I'm going to work on myself. If you need to take space and you want to go, like, a lot of times women are like, I'm going to go stay somewhere. Let's have some separation time and then let's see where it goes. And a lot of times these types will just shut it down and it's the black and white. Nope, if you leave, it's done. We're not taking any of this time. And this is very, very common. It's another form of manipulation and controlling you and the relationship. And so you have to be willing and say, okay, fine, like, that's fine. Or again, you just say, that's your version of reality. You can stand in that if you want. However, I'm still taking space. And you can do that. You can pull back and you focus on yourself and you stop the crazy making of trying to control them and change them. You stop that and you work on changing yourself. And again, that's the premise in the Take Space course. So to wrap up this question, if you're wondering, how do I get him to finally understand and leave me alone? Well, it's not, hey, I think we should separate. I think we need some time apart. I think I would like a divorce. How do you feel about that? Can you please just give me permission to do this? Can you please just walk away kindly and let me be? It's not going to happen. You have to fight for that. It's the truth. Or you take your power back and focus on what you actually have control over, and that is you. Your perceptions, your beliefs, your thoughts, your self-care, your self-nourishment, you focusing on your own inner work to formulate that plan. It's not talking about it one more time. I promise you, it is not you saying it one more time with conviction, I'm done. And once they know that you're done and it's really happening, this is when you will oftentimes see a very quick turn in their personality into vindictive, ruthless. They suddenly just are able to toss you aside and be out for themselves. They don't care about you. You're suddenly an enemy. You're suddenly a stranger. And it happens so quickly. Your head will spin. It's almost just unbelievable how quickly they can treat you like you are an enemy, a stranger that they don't know and don't give a shit about, when maybe you've spent decades with them, raising kids, having a life with them. So there is that too. And it's having support around you to heal from that on the other side. And that's what my TANA course is, Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse. That is my self-study course that comes with a Facebook group, lifetime access, so that you can heal on the other side. It's really meant for women who are freshly out in that first 90 days or so out of the relationship to catch you on the other side, because the other side is brutal. Women share things like the way that they treat them, the things that they're saying about them, because they're trying to continue to control the narrative because they can't control you any longer. They're trying to control maybe how other people see you, how you feel about yourself. They want you to take all the blame for the relationship demise. They're not taking any blame. You are enemy number one now, and you will be cut out from their life so quickly, and the vindictive behaviors begin, and the punishment and all of that. And it continues until you realize that you no longer have to be at the mercy of that. You know, whether they are choosing to not follow the law, not follow agreements, not follow parenting plans, not follow paying child support and expenses that they're legally supposed to, they get away with that. You only have a certain amount of power within that. And so I always say to women, especially if you have kids, you have to be prepared to do this on your own on the other side. Mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, emotionally, all of it. You have to be prepared to be 100% it for your kids. That is it. And if they do end up being stand-up dad of the year and stepping up and paying what they need to be paying, that's a bonus. I've not seen a case of that. In fact, it is most often the complete opposite. They often don't follow parenting plans. They bail on their kids. They meet someone new and suddenly their kids are not so important. That new family is what becomes the focus. It's disgusting, and it does happen. I have very rarely, I would love to know actually, if you have a case where you have left and you have a great co-parenting relationship with them where they are still showing up as a good father, they're paying their support money if it's due, they are supporting your children financially and otherwise. On the other side, please come and DM me on Instagram at Awakening Women Official, because I would love to hear any stories of this. And if it's the case, I would say they weren't actually narcissistic or they're trying to put on a really good front for someone, because the reality is that they can't keep that up for very long, and you have to be prepared to be it for your kids. And again, if they decide to be, sorry, that was a client call reminder. I have to hop on a call in a moment. If they do step up, if they do show up for their kids, that's a bonus. That is something you thank your lucky stars for. You don't count on it. And I know that's brutal. It's not fair. It is not fair. I don't know how many times I've had to tell myself life is not fair, because it is just not fair what happens, that you will end up having to continue to be it. You know you have been in the relationship. It's going to be even more so when there is no relationship. So I hope that answers the question for you, if this is rattling around in your mind, or if it's a question or concern you've had is like, how do I really get them to understand I'm serious and I mean business? It's action. It's not talking about it anymore. It's, I am not talking about this relationship with you anymore. This is not on the table for discussion. The only thing we'll be discussing is how we're going to separate, how we're going to do the kids, if you have them, how we're going to move forward. We're going to split assets, whatever it is, the things you need to do logistically, legally, and all that. That is the only thing you are going to discuss. So that requires a boundary from you. It's not saying, I don't want to discuss this relationship, and then you end up getting roped into another relationship talk. It's, I'm not discussing this with you. And you walk away, you leave the room, you go for a drive, whatever you need to do. I am not discussing this with you. I've told you I'm not, unless it's about the kids or the separation. I am not here for it. I am not having this conversation. And so you have to uphold that boundary. All right. So there's a few things there, right? Those are some quick tips, but it is not an easy thing to do. I know it is not so easy. And if you have friends and family that don't fully get what's going on, I've had some clients where a family was like, we don't get it. Everything looks fine. Are you losing your mind? Like, is this a midlife crisis? Or, treating the woman as if like she's lost her mind, and then the kids get turned against the mom too, if they're older. I've seen that. And so it's not easy. It can be a really lonely road. All right. So again, a couple of things. You can check out my Take Space course. And you can check out my Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse course with Facebook community, where if you want to be able to ask me a question or other women who have been where you are, that's where you can do it in the Facebook group at any time. And I am in the group daily to answer any questions that are posted. If you are not sure what your next steps are and you would like some hand-holding and some coaching around that, you can also apply to work with me one-on-one at leanneoten.com/apply. A final thought that I had upon hitting end to this recording is, this is on a deeper level. It has to come from a place within you that you have 100% clarity and conviction that you're done. Because if you have any wobble in your energy or in your self-belief that you can do this because you've tried so many times and have failed, so your self-belief is kind of in the toilet. Your self-worth is in the toilet. We build self-worth by doing the hard thing and doing the actions. So internally ask yourself, is there wobble in here? Am I 100% sure and convinced and know with clarity that I'm done? Because if you have any waffle, they're going to feel it and they're going to try and manipulate that to get you to come around to their side and be further controlled. So it starts with your own personal clarity and conviction. All right, take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. If you love this episode, please take a moment to share it and leave a 5-star rating and review. If you're ready to take your next step, head to the link in the show notes to sign up for my latest free class. Also, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Awakening Women Official and join the conversation. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again in the next episode. Take care of yourself in the meantime, and I'll see you online.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.